Grisaia.
Bonjour watcher, this is JohnnyBanger45 and welcome to the Pro Grisaia. Yeah, we are back in the last episode.
続きからよ。
We talk about oops,
続きからよ。
Sea of the World 5. Yeah, Makina went missing. And where is Makina? Given this new information, my next thought was that the girl had either dropped a cell phone or simply dozed off on the spot, but seems like it was the latter. Makina, hey Makina, wake up. Why are you sleeping on there? Alone. For the time being, I decided not to let the drastic smack upside the head solution to this dilemma. Opting for the gentle shake of the shoulders, Makina head swayed a little in the spot where there was no sign of her waking up. Warm up for your first day on the job. The thoughts left me a little hesitant to wake up the girl for slow. For a moment, I decided to contact Amane on myself.
はい、こちらイリス・マキナ捜索本部本部長スオン・アマネ。
This is Field Operating Kazami Yuji. I discovered and secured the one.
よかった、マキナ見つかったのね。
Yeah, little punks taking a nice nap on the bench in front of the station.
もう起こした？起きそう？
Not really. I tried calling out to her, but the girl seems to be asleep pretty deeply. I wait a little longer, but it shouldn't be a problem either way. If necessary, I just carry her back to the door.
マキナ、8時から見たいテレビがあるって言ってたから、それまでには連れて帰ってあげて。
Understood, not further to report. I ended the call.
お疲れ様。
Alright then. Hey Makina, can you wake up for me? Once again. Enjoy the scenery. Enjoy the scenery. Okay, done. She does respond in the front of a dopey little ground, but it doesn't seem to have brought her any closer to regain consciousness. Guess I'll have to carry her back. The girl's not exactly heavy, shouldn't be much of a key issue. I guess at my watch, we still got nearly 2 hours there until 8, and I doubt it'll take longer than 30 minutes to get back to the door if I carry her on my back. More than enough time. But seriously, could you be any more defenseless? Considering the girl was kidnapped as a child, she's surprisingly incautious. Then again, there's not really much danger in a public street with heavy pedestrian traffic. At worst, you might have a wallet or bag stolen while you sleep, but in modern Japan, even that sort of petty crime is very common. This really is a peaceful country, but on the other hand, the apathy of the passenger by who doesn't even bother to wake a little girl dozing out in the sun is also very typical Japanese. And I guess I can't just let the girl sleep here forever. For one thing, the longer we stay here like this, the higher the odds of someone reporting shots. You look at you try to cope a feeling of a sleepy kid to our friendly neighborhood police station. I should really either be waking her up or getting her on my back and be a palm tree reject, but watching Makina draw soft, regular breaths, I can't help wanting to just let her be. I know this might sound a little strange, but I don't dislike watching women sleep. Doesn't matter if it's ridiculously powerful and incredibly masculine woman, or a shaky-headed blonde who spends every waking moment clapping like she's your damn mother. When their eyes are closed and their mouths is shut, they are cute. Same goes for Makina. It seems normally watching the girl just make you wonder if she burned out a couple 100,000 sinners in her brain, but when she sleep quietly like this, she's genuinely adorable.
やべ、寝てた。
You're awake, Makina.
あれ、パパ？なんでパパがいるの？
You're really taking your time getting back, so I came to pick you up.
そっか。ごめんね。なんか私、お仕事終わったら急に眠くなっちゃって。
Makina opens her mouth wide and lets out a high-pitched, vaguely feeling yawn. What up for your first day on the job?
なんかね、初めてのことばっかりで覚えるのが大変でね。でも、すっごく楽しかったのよ。
That's good to hear. Think you'll stick with it? Alright, we're making a conscious effort to trust Makina. I was very worried deep down, but from the way she's talking, it sounds like she was able to concentrate on the job.
私ね、パン屋さんの仕事好きかも。いろんなパンがあって、いろ ろんなお客さんが来て、今日ね、いろんな人といろんなお話をしたのよ。
What sort of people did you
いっ
meet?
ぱいいたよ。普通の OL さんとか、子供を連れたお母さんとか、それにフィリピンのお姉さんとか、中国とか台湾のお姉さんとか。
Sounds like you got quite a pan-Asian cliche there in there.
なんかね、店長に聞いたら、外国の人はスーパーとかで買い物しにくいんだって。だから個人商店に来るんだって。
You don't say. Come to think of it, this foreigner I knew once told me something. A while ago, the tabloids and TV news shows made a habit of constantly report on organized criminal activity perpetrated by a small number of illegal immigrant workers. As a result, people got this fixed idea of a group of foreign shoplifters roaming the supermarkets, and anyone who doesn't look Japanese enough still get the stink eyes. Can make your weekly shopping trip feel really unpleasant.
いいね。お仕事いっぱい頑張ったからって店長さんにメロンパンいっぱいもらったのよさ。
The paper sacks Makina scratched in her house is packed full of pastries. Judging from the intense sweet fragrance wafting from the buns, they're still hot from the
お
oven.
腹が空いたから帰りに食べようかと思ったんだけどね。どうせならみんなで食べようと思って。パパとかアマネとかユミちゃんにチルチルにサッチンにチズチズ、いつもお世話になってる人にね、いつもありがとうってメロンパン食べてって言おうと思って。でも帰る途中でどうしても眠くなっちゃって寝ちゃった。私ね、いつもみんなにはありがとうって感謝してるのよ。でもその気持ちをどう伝えていいのかわかんなくて。でもね、今日それが分かった気がするのよさ。一生懸命頑張ってこれが私の頑張った結果なんだよってメロンパンを食べてもらえばきっと気持ち伝わるよね。お礼の気持ちって感謝の気持ちってきっとこういうことなんだろうなって初めて分かった気がするのね。それがね、今日一番嬉しかったこと。
I see. You did good, Makina. I'm sure they'll be happy. Like always, I drop a hand on Makina's head and scratch vigorously, only to discover that her ass moist with respiration. Orange got a little colder now that the sun's shaking napping outside the summer day probably has something to do with it. But when I think of it as a sweet sweat the girl shed in her labors, for some reason there's a tight feeling in my chest. She really did do her best. As the thought runs through my mind with a new ring of conviction, I look down to find Makina's head nodding back and forth unsteadily.
ダメだ。すごい眠いのよ。
That's alright, you can sleep, but can you get on my back first? I will carry you to the door.
ありがとう、パパ。
As the street fills with a pinkish glow of sunset and the cries of cicadas, I take the bag of melons bun from Makina's hand and then help her on my back. Her body is small, light, and ridiculously moist of it. I can feel my back growing damp with sweat. The girl fast asleep before I can take a single step. She breathes through her nose steadily, quietly. Every exhalation tickles the neck of my neck. This is habit of losing all anywhere and anytime it says someone put it. Probably a mild case of stunk or whatever. It's not anything that unusual for me since my big sister was just as abrupt as a sleeper. I think Makina is fundamentally pretty similar to her in this respect actually. My sister's brain ran on a high-octane fuel that most people's, but the mileage wasn't great. Sometimes she sleeps more than 12 hours in a single day. And other times, I look over after a brief pause in her conversation to find she's not off, after which she do wake up only a minute or two later. The only major point of difference is that she will not off at fixed times every day. Makina is a lot less predictable, require much more careful attention. Anyway, from what my sister told me when I was young, the heavy sleeping was necessary so that her unconscious mind could process the large amount of information she absorbed while awake. In other words, nothing to get worried about. Whoops! Shifting the balance button to the precautious one arm, I reached around to hold Makina's limb slide down my back. After pushing her firmly on my shoulders, I resumed my slow, gently walked back to the door, carefully not to wake my passenger. And now it's night. When I returned to the door, Makina still clenching on my back. Amane come up to meet us with undiscussed relief on her face. And for some reason, all of our other classmates are waiting in the lobby as well. Michiru, a vaguely crabby expression on her face, peers over my shoulders at Makina, asked so she fell asleep after all in a sarcastic tone. Then proceeded to point at the girl's flappy little cheeks, mumbling what a hopeless case, and breaks into a smile. As for Sachi, she begins by offering me a polite bow and thanks for my effort, and carefully removes Makina boots one at the side and put her away in the shoe racks at the side of the door. In her place, she takes Makina's favorite slipper, the so-called terrible twins, decorated with the slightly face of two stuffed animals, tigers, and slide them onto her feet. However, the girl sees lying against her head, the float right off and fall into the ground. Sachi fits them and puts them back on, not that it works at any better seconds of the time. Plus, in his earnest as always, maybe someday she'll figure out that brute force repetition doesn't compensate for a lack of strategy. Lately, the Sakaki, her initial convincing show of indifference, relieved by a momentary glance away from the paperback in her hand. Once her eyes find Makina's upon my mind, she snorted softly and returned her glance to the book. I think it's safe to say that she was fairly concerned about Makina too, in her way. It's about 10 minutes after the little scene when the girl finally wakes up. Her eyes blink open in my bed when I toss her soundly slumber as a temporary measure and quickly find the large sack of melon buns sitting next to a pillow. Squirming out of the bed, she grabs the bag and scrambles off to distribute it to the other residents of the dorm. Only as such express their heartfelt thanks in voice choked with tears. Michiru offers, well, I don't dislike melon buns, managed to convey sincere gratitude despite the standard of veneer of arrogance. Hirosaki softly calls her both with quiet I seized them. They say I will say that gratefully then. Then proceed to dig to the pastry light, but there. I'm honestly really surprised at first, but come to think of it, I guess that's sort of her style. In summary, Makina's first day of part-time work, the subject of so much angst and anxiety has come to a peaceful conclusion. And every day, Sakaki graciously allows Makina and Mane to take the first bath. The moment the girls out, she runs out the lobby where I've been waiting for my turn. Then throws herself on my lap with a solid tongue and turns to face the therapist and said,
風見さんの膝の上はもうすっかりマキちゃんの指定席になってしまいましたね。
With answer such a teasing comment with a whining smile, Makina grabs the remote control from the table. She then plays the channel of her favorite show. Crunching softly, Sachi places a glass of dilute cow paste in front of Makina, then makes a swift exit. Probably gone out to tidy up the mess Makina made in the pub before Sakaki takes a turn. The girl really is quite the attentive servant. Just as Sachi disappearing on the stair, Amane enters the lobby in the process of removing an apron.
なんかさ、そうしてると本当の親子みたいよ。
For a part, the way Amane struck our conversation with freshly washed tableware in her hands is also oddly domestic. She's the very image of a housewife. Do I look like that old? Let's go with the siblings instead.
なんつうの？妙に老成しているあんたと年齢の割に育ちの悪いマキナ。その辺のギャップが原因じゃないかな。
With this pronouncement, Amane heads back to her room with a stack of clean plates. Who you call it crotchy, punk? In the first place, it's not like I have experienced the world truthfully enough to start passing judgment on whippersnappers. Surely Makina's unusual childish behavior is the more relevant factor. Look at case in point, the girl's currently cruising down a sweet milky drink, mesmerizing by the glow of the television screen, completely oblivious to the world around her. It occurs to me that if you cut out this one moment in time, it will look like a pretty happy little game of house. Honestly, I'm saddened at my own behavior, even though I understand that this is ultimately nothing more than a make-believing game. I can't seem to have surrendered myself to its lukewarm comforts.
Papa! Dave 教授始まったよ!
Ah, so it is. What's the good professor doing better with today? Professor in question is the host of the American documentary shows Professor David Amazing Animals. And by the name of David McAllister. This fearless individual apparently put his life onto the line on a weekly basis to provide his audience with reports on various dangerous animals, a formula that proved highly popular with his audience of bloodthirsty children.
いやーキッズたち、今日の特集は先週予告したようにサメの特集だ。
サメ Clad stylishly in the tough survival gear of seasoned adventurer, Professor David strides confidently along a beach, telling the kids in front of their TV sets all about sharks in a cheerful, enthusiastic monologue, periodically interrupted by a voice that seems to be strategically covering up some overly frank observations.
近年、餌場の問題でサメが海水浴場に姿を見せることも珍しいことではなくなった。せっかくの楽しいサマーバカンスがサメのせいで台無しになったら大変だ。そこで今日の僕はテレビの前のキッズがサメに噛まれた時の対処法を実験するためにここシャークワールドセンターにやってきたのさ。
We have Professor Dave, equipped for his mission with flip-flops and a straw hat and the image of large building appears with the word shark was centered in bold red letters. A voiceover informs us that the center is an institution that looks after injured sharks who find their ways into shallow coastal waters, helping them to heal and return to the sea. Soon the scene switches to Dave peering down into a massive water tank, where a great white shark that appears to be a good 5 meters in length quietly glides to and from.
どうだい？これがホウジロザメだ。でかいだろう。よし、それじゃあ早速噛まれてみよう。
And as always, Professor Dave says some crazy shit. Starts saying some crazy shit. Every time I watch this show, I end up thinking, isn't anyone going to stop this guy? This week is no exception, as Dave promptly leaps into the shark tank with the bleeding raw carcass of a cow clutches to his chest.
デイブすげえ、超すげえよデイブ。あれは真似できないのよさ。
Yeah, let's not try. As if on cue, a disingenuous warning clearly is served by some long surface narrow lawyers flashing across the bottom of the screen. Hey kids, never try this at home. That's a promise with Professor David. Then again, I sort of feel like any kids to be enough to try and imitate this stunt to be firmly roped to a hospital bed in the first place.
おーっと、サメが血の匂いにつられて近寄ってきたぞ。
Seconds after Dave hits the water, the great white slowly turns its massive head in the direction of bloody carcass, then begins to steadily home in on the smell. The professor hauls out the slab of raw meat to the approaching predator, who promptly takes a violent bite, beginning the experiment.
大変だ、すごい力だ。だけどキッズたち、ここで慌ててはいけない。サメの歯はナイフのように鋭いから慌てて引っ張ると大怪我をするんだ。ここで大切なのはまず慌てないこと。そしてここ見えるかいキッズたち、ここだ、サメの鼻っ面。ここにはロレンチニ瓶という器官がある。ここを素手でガスッと殴ってやればいい。
Professor Dave demonstrates by launching a vigorous rain of blows on the thrashing insectoid. His punky battle cry is partially drawn by a series of electronic flicks.
Yes! Oh, fuck it!
Soon on, he's been turned the beast into ignominious retreat.
どうだったかなキッズたち。サメに出会いそうな場所で泳がないのはもちろんだが、もし運悪く出会ってしまい噛みつかれてしまっても慌てず騒がずロレンチニ瓶、わかったかい？
ロレンチニ。
また一つ賢くなったのよさ。やっぱデイブ教授はすげえな。
This show is as over the top as ever. But in the man's defense, Professor Dave's Amazing Animals, this is just selling cheap thrills. No matter how, the program always transitions to a serious emotional element of the story of some sort. In fact, you could call the extreme experiments in the first part of the show bit they've used to get the kids' attention, with the real heart of the program coming in the latter.
Amazing Animal チャンネルはそのまま。
In Even the professor currently flashing a cheerful victory sign to the screen puts aside his cocky persona in the second half of the program, talking gently in an earnest expression on his face. The mini documentary this week tells the story of a fawn that lost his parents at a young age. The camera traces the animal's struggle to get by its own after its mother and fathers are eaten by lions. But in the end, it too dies, never having been taught the skills necessary to survive. Fairly harsh stuff, really. Still crunching the antique glass of carapace in one stubby little hand, Makina stares intently at the screen, watching the little deer's final moment so quietly she almost seems to be holding her breath.
ねパパ
What?
パパは私を残して死んじゃったりしないよね
Well, if I choose a wrong end, I will die. All of a sudden, the cheerful tears on my eyes hanging her head miserably, fat tears rolling over her cheeks. They're not tears of pity for a doomed fawn of the television set. They are the selfish, fearful tears of a child comparing her own circumstances with those that of the starving, lonely animal.
パパは死んだりしないよね
She repeats the words, her quavering voice presses me for an answer. It's not like I can possibly guarantee that. No matter when I promise the girl today, I will die when it's my time to die. And yet, don't worry, I won't die. From what I read in those documents, Makina saw her father die before her eyes when she was just a child. So I have no choice but to speak these words. Even if they are groundless, irresponsible lies, there's just nothing else I can do. Do I look like I'm going to kick the bucket that easy? I will keep you safe, and I won't die no matter what. You have my word on that.
本当に
Yeah, that's a promise. That's a promise. But the words alone does seem enough to earn her trust. Makina scoops down a big, shuddering breath and bites her lower lip, the tears still sliding down her face. Well, we still haven't go to her story yet, her flashback, so we don't know when will it happen. Come on, seriously, how do I get you to stop crying?
ねチューしてくれたら泣き止むかも
What a spoiled brat. Crafty little twerp. Where the hell did she pick that up? Wait, as if I really have to ask. I turned my eyes out in disgust, trying to burn a hole through the ceiling to where is no doubt humming obliviously and putting away her dish. Alright, Makina, close your eyes. Standing directly in front of me, I waited for her eyes to fall shut, then grab her firmly around her ears with both hands and bite vigorously into her head. Ouch! Men are all wolves. Play it out too much and you get eaten right up. One point made, I am so grinding my teeth against Makina's skull. 助けてデイブそうかロレンチにビンだこれでもくらえ Even as I ground away at her cranium, Makina flings down her arms with desperate resistance. Poorly developed as she may be, the girl isn't a child, and although she's obviously wasn't intended a full force attack, one punch just so happens to land nicely on the bridge of my nose. Oh, damn it, you little punk.
何やってんのよあんたたち
Is your mission going already? We're playing the Men Are All Wolves games, obviously. Obviously.
なんでマキナの服脱がしてんのよ
Because I'm a wolf.
そして私は哀れな子羊だからだ
どんなルール
チルチルもやるか
やらないわよ私まだお風呂入ってないし
じゃあお風呂出た後ならオッケーってこと
別にそういう意味じゃないしつーかなんで私がそんなレイプごっこに付き合わなきゃいけないわけ
結構ドキドキすんぞ
でもそんないいわよあんたら二人で勝手にやってなさいよ私はお風呂に入るの
やつはなんで急に顔真っ赤にして怒ってんだ意味がわからん
Don't ask me, maybe that's just how tsunderes are.
めんどくせえのなツンデレ
I have to agree with you there. By the time our little routine finally winds down, the hour's hands crawl past 10. Makina keeps watching television for a while after Professor Day sighs off, but soon enough she nodded off in my lap. Her soft body now completely slack against mine. It's really warm as always. Wish the girl could turn her body temperature a little. Hold on to her too long and you end up overheated.
あれ、マキナ寝ちゃった？
Yeah, I guess I'll go carry her to the room and dump her in bed. When I lift Makina off me, her head flops down over like an infant, limbs dangle down like a feelers or subtopic jellyfish. After the girls stood their lip, I can't get a decent grip.
マキナは子供の頃バレエを習っていたらしいから、それが原因じゃない？
Ballet? I guess it's not surprised that the daughters of a filthy rich families might get a few lessons. Actually, Makina is a lot more agile and quick on her feet than you might expect if she was trained in ballet and skate. That might more or less explain it. Whoops. As I finally managed to hold Makina out in the classic breather carrying one of her stubby little hand clutches tightly at my shirt seems to be an unconscious reflex since the girl herself is still truthfully out of it.
掴まれちゃったね。それ、下手すると30分は話してもらえないわよ。無理やり引き剥がそうとすると泣き出すし。
Fantastic. I guess I don't have any choice but to stay next to her until she falls asleep for real then.
そのまま一緒に寝ちゃえばいいんじゃない？
Can you not say things like that so casually? And while you are at it, do me a favor, stop teaching Makina weird crap.
何のこと？
Just try this, I'll stop crying if you kiss me number out on me. Sounds exactly like you, Amane.
いやーね、またそうやって人聞きの悪い。私は別に何も教えてないわよ。
Watashi wa. Makina's brace is like a sponge. Remember, I have to be careful or she'll pick up that nonsense before you know it. What's so funny?
なんか本当に父親みたいね。
Huh, in what respect?
キスしてって言われて戸惑っちゃうところとか？
That was just a common sense reaction to the situation.
じゃあ私がキスしてって言ったらどうする？
Take out my wallet and ask how much.
さすがの私もお金なんか取らないわよ。キスぐらいタダでさせてあげるのに。
There's no such thing as a free lunch.
もう育児なし。
It worked out for me so far. I carried my floppy burden to Amani's room on the second floor and deposited it on the bed. But just as I was wondering, a good 30 minutes passed out without Makina's dead grip on my clothes weakened in the slightest. When the girls finally sink into full-fledged sleep, her hand slipped free. Seizing my chest, I quickly rise from her bed and returned to my room. Bye, Makina. See you tomorrow morning. When women are in a bad mood, they eat nothing but salad for breakfast. A simple valuable rule of thumb I learned from my time with JB. Every once in a while, she stumbled greedly-eyed into the room in her favorite cow-print pajamas, stretching at her shaky head. She then narrowed her already menacing eyes to dagger-sharp slip and mumbled just salad for me. Of course, we are talking about Harudina Yuria here, a percentage winner has queen of hysteria in her perfect professional life. In deference to that noble title on such morning, I would quickly resolve not to oppose her. But for some reason, we always end up fighting anyway. Quite the mysterious phenomenon.
何よ、人の顔じっと見て。
Nothing in particular. Maybe blonde women are just cranky in the morning by default, but then again, I guess Michiru is always more or less like this. Even if I went out of my way to be kind and solicitous now, she probably interpret it as condescension and flip out. That said, telling her to stop snarling at me for no reason probably won't be productive either. Much less remark of the effect of go get laid for once, why don't you? Or you won't going to shape her up unless you get a little attention. In my experience, such frank but well intentional advice is me only in a flash of light warm from above. In other words, the only winning move in this game is not to play. As my predecessor once put it, noble men and historical women will have their way. Don't get too worked out about it, and I never had cause to doubt the soundness of her judgment in this matter. Accordingly, when the question why the hell is this girl eating breakfast in my room may be floating through my mind the moment I judge it wisest to maintain my silence.
仕方がないでしょ。今朝はサチが出かけてていないんだから。私に朝ごはんも食べずに飢え死にしろってな。
Look, I didn't say a word.
何よ、言いたいことがあるなら言いなさいよ。ムカつくわね。
Can someone please explain to me why blood women all say the dead scrap, say damn things? You think they were all reading from one script? Don't tell me there's some sort of little red book for blood secretly circulating among the fair hair population and they're all living in accordance with its teaching.
ねえ、みちる、どう？そのパン美味しい？あ、うん、美味しい。なんか悪いわね、急に来て。別に急じゃないわよ。昨日の夜、さっちゃんが私んとこ来て、みちる様の朝食をよろしくお願いしますって頭下げて言ったし。え、そうなの
？In other words, Sanchez predicted that the moment she left the door, your ghost found out Amanela and helpless freeloaders you are, since the girl knows you well.
うるさいわね。私だって料理ぐらいできるわよ。やらないだけなんだからね。
I see. Freakishly enough, I can remember Jamie once said exactly the same thing. At this point, I am ready to wonder if that secret instruction manual really does exist. Wait, so meet you, my friend. I foresee trouble in your future. I see you drunk on cheesecake, literally slapping together with some home cooking decorated cohesively divine. Well, delicious, huh? It's delicious, right? Of your victims. On top of it all, I see you passing out on the sofa without bothering to put away the dishes or clean the kitchen. Yes, I'm afraid there's a good chance you're going to become a complete nuisance of a woman.
何よ。まるで未来を見てきたかのように。ああ、そういえばみちる、あんた前にそんなことあったよね。確か料理漫画に影響されたかなんかで、急に今日は私がご飯作るって言い出したかと思ったら、キッチンをぐちゃぐちゃにしてくれたじゃん。でもちゃんとハンバーグ作ったじゃない。みんな美味しいって食べてたじゃない。まあみちるが作ったにしちゃ美味しかったけど、でも付け合わせのポテトサラダ作ったの私だし、あんたがぐちゃぐちゃにしたキッチンを片付けたのはさっちゃんよ。でも料理はちゃんとできてたでしょうが。いいみちるちゃん、お料理ってのはお片付けも含めてお料理なのよ。家に帰るまでが遠足だって学校で教わらなかった？おつむの弱い子に優しく解いて聞かせるみたいに言うな。
Come on, man. I think you met your pride. In any case, it's interesting to hear that Mitchell is really kind of cool. I do like to try that Salisbury stick myself sometime.
ちょっとユージ、あんたはまたそうやって社交辞令的なこと言ってこの場を丸め込もうとして。もしみちるがその気になって今日のお昼私が作るとか言い出したらどう責任取るつもりよ。今日はさっちゃんもいないし私だって忙しいのよ。ちょっとあまねえ、あんたちょっとは私に気を使って言葉選びなさいよ。
So anyway, when Sachi wandered off to the first thing in the morning.
聞いてないの？今日は神社でお祭りがあるからさっちゃんはその準備に出かけてるのよ。
Oh, let's go to the shrine today with Makina-chan. Oh yeah, where's Makina? When I was cutting through the morning around the shrine on my run with Makina this morning, I did hear the sound of the group practicing with flutes and drums or something. They must be rehearsing for the main event. Oh yeah, Makina go to the workplace. I forgot, she do some work. She become an adult, unlike me. Now that you mention, Makina came here with Sumazazi, the boulder and dawn dance this morning. I assumed that was more of a cryptic nonsense and ignored it, but I guess she must have meant summer festival and fun then. そういうこと。商店街でもお祭りをやるから、さっちゃんは広場に櫓とかテントを建てるの手伝いに行ってるし、マキナはパン屋さんが出すチリドッグの屋台を手伝いに行ってる。私もこの後子供会で無料配布する豚汁を作りに行くの。Hopefully I've made a contribution to your town for such an insolent bunch. Not bad. まあね、埋め立て地とはいえ美浜もこの地域の一員だしね。Well, I feel the proof of putting down roots in the broader community. Let me rephrase that. If we don't pitch in with this some sort of straightforward community service, Mihama will probably get a reputation as some secretive school where God knows what's going on. I mean, it's not like our budget is coming out of public coffers, so I doubt we'll get prostators with placards hurling it over the gate, but still putting a little effort into public relations can't hurt.
何よ、それじゃあ何もしてない私が悪者みたいじゃないのよ。
I wasn't really implying anything. I mean, it's not like Sakaki's doing anything either, right?
ああ、榊さんはほら、お祭りのスポンサーになってるから。
I forgot Sakaki is a rich girl.
行けばわかると思うけど、商店街の街灯全部に盗品グループの旗がいっぱいぶら下がってるよ。金だけ出しておけばいいってもんじゃないでしょうに。それにグループの代表として午後から始まるのど自慢大会の審査員をやってくれないかって商店街の会長さんに頼まれたみたいでさ。最初は断るつもりだったらしいけど、結局断りきれなくて引き受けちゃったから暇じゃないと思うわよ。ぬーじゃないわよ。あんたも暇なら手伝いに来なさいよ。子供会の仕事は山ほどあるわよ。
It's confirmed. Michiru-chan is lazy.
綿菓子作って配ったり、引換券持ってきた子にお菓子の詰め合わせあげたり、今年は金魚すくい券もあるから金魚屋のお姉さんやるとかね。
Michiru in one of those light blue happy coats might work for you. Yeah, go for the goldfish lady. You are blonde, so the coloration works, and somehow I can really picture you as a carny daughter.
あんた、それ褒めてるようで褒めてないでしょ。
No, selling chicks that cost practically nothing to dumb kids really does seem like it would suit you. Or maybe running one of those semi-fraudulent, die-cutting stalls where the prices are entirely at the owner's discretion.
あんたバカにしてるでしょ。私のことバカにしてるでしょ。まあまあ、暇なら後で私と一緒に手伝いに行こうよね。分かったわよ。どうせ暇だしね。子供は嫌いだけど手伝ってあげるわよ。ユージはどうする？
Huh, I got nothing to do either, so I will have it out if there's any job where a little physical power might come in handy.
じゃあさっちゃんの方手伝ってあげてくれる？櫓組とか大変そうだし。
Roger.
そんじゃとっととご飯食べて出かけようか。みちる、パンと牛乳のおかわりは？美味しいでしょそのパン。美味しいわよ。おかわりがあるならもらいたいわよ。なんで怒ってるのかさっぱりわからないけど、ちなみにそのパンマキナが焼いたんだよ。ブホーってマジで？私昨日パン焼き器買ってさ、今朝マキナが生地をもっちゃもっちゃこねて早速焼いてみたんだけど、これがまあ結構美味しいのよね。所詮は機械の性能じゃない。私だって機械があれば美味しく焼けるわよ。
Now you want to sell yourself into a machine. What a noob.
でもマキナはあんたと違ってちゃんとキッチン片付けていったわよ。うぐーじゃねえぞ。
And that's done. And so, having partaken of our morning repast, we immediately head out to assist the local festivity. With Michiru and Amane join the event staff for the children's festival. They proceed to brandish sticks at a group of innocent neighborhood children gathered in short-sleeved happy coats. These force these little captives to parade through the town, dragging a float that must be over 3 tons in weight. This seemingly meaningless exercise is sadism, roughly equivalent to the classic dig a hole and fill it back up again number that serve a certain purpose. Namely, helping these impressionable youths understand it's pointless to resist adults and provide them an early introduction to the characteristic principle that ultimately governs our world. Still, from what I heard, Amane proved extremely popular with the kids, especially the older grade schoolboys. Most likely, a few local children will give it a jump start on the road towards puberty, internalizing the sad law that governs our genders. Obey the press. In the meantime, I spelled the moment my sister was headed towards the area reserved for the pond dance, where apparently they were eager for male help. I hurried to the plot of the land being used for the purpose, stayed in my uniform. Then I discovered Sachi in full maid dress. Despite the brutal heat, swinging aside around like a grim reaper made flash. Strengthening from her neighbor, she offered me a deep nod. The words "Arigatou gozaimasu" for coming, spoken in the tone of commander at Luzo greeting his reinforcement. and the sickle of my own politely pressed me into immediate service. The tower for the dancing cell was already standing tall in the middle of the plot, and the never council tent has been set up. The only pressing business remained was mowing down the weeds on the edge of the area. My allies in this task, apart from the indominant maid already mentioned, included older ladies in sweatpants with towels wrapped around their heads to ward off the sun. And here and there, a few younger housewives in fashionable sports gears and sun-faced visors looking at daughters just wandered up of a yoga class. A wise man once said, our nation's greatest national security threats are the weeds that keep sprouting up in our maneuvering grounds, no matter how many damn ties we cut them out, also I told. Basics has thought these invasions of thick wild grass has confined its intolerable aggression to military targets. We have a words for those who invade our territory enemies. Watch out the blazing hot days of the sun. I quietly wipe my side in the broad pursuit to of the nation's interest. Although I have my doubts about this slapdash approach of raiding the event on the day of the event itself, after about 2 hours of raping, we've got ourselves a perfectly respected venue for opponents. The orchestra were completely. The council just began to test its speaker equipment. And we returned our tools to a nearby storehouse. Sachi and I set canned soft drinks for a plastic pail of full of ice. They stood our fresh door as we covered the sweat of our foreheads.
お疲れ様でした。風見さんのおかげで予定より早く準備が完了しました。
I have to say though, waiting till the day of the festival to mow down the ground strikes me as a little reckless.
あまり早く草刈りをしても結局すぐに伸びてきてしまいますし、商店主の方々はお店もありますから基本的に男手が足りないんですよ。
Makes sense, I guess.
若い男の人が手伝ってくれるのは珍しいので、婦人会の方たちは風見さんに感謝していましたよ。
Mowing down weeds is one thing I'm used to, not a problem.
私、婦人会の方に彼氏なのって聞かれちゃいました。
Oh, I am your boyfriend. If I am in your room, but unfortunately I'm at Makina's room. Oh, and what did you tell them?
誰にも言っちゃダメですよって答えておきました。
Ah, what a cute girl, Sachi. How about denying it? Then again, if she just showed her hair with those expressionless glances, I said, not just a classmate, I would end up feeling pretty melancholic. The human man is a pretty selfish creature.
Papa!
Oh, finally, Makina-chan, this is Makina. I haven't seen you in ages, since this morning specifically.
Oh, 今朝ぶり浮気なんかしてねえだろな。おい
Call me red-handed, I was just now flirting around with our friend Sachi here.
何を
お話ししてただけで別に浮気はしてないよ。
何を
まあサッチンなら別にいいか。
And the episode, my
セー
friend.
ブするわ。
Thank you for watching my video. My video just for fun. Don't take heart, brothers and sisters. Finally, Seed of the World Tree 6. Magic word time. Adios and famosa.